are our sexual norms really normal?
Let's talk about sex, baby. Talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the
We
bad
should
put that in things.
that
there. We should edit that in real life. I don't know.
That's
Nah,
second.
we can't. We ain't gonna get it cleared.
Right. So when you say our sexual norm is really normal, you talking about like, just for us as like black folks, or you talking about like this generation?
I mean, honestly, man, this is something across the board, universal. It's like, when were you introduced to sex? How were you introduced to sex? Who introduced you to sex? It's just so many different variables that go into the makeup of how we view sex, or how we did maybe at one point. And the reality of it is I'll say for myself, even outside of just sex, I adopted a lot of toxic beliefs and approaches in life, thinking that it was normal because it really technically was normal in my society at that time.
Yeah.
But it ain't normal at all. And we gotta be able to address those things and, diagnose so that we could start to treat those sicknesses.
So we talking about, I'm glad you said what you said at the end, because you called it a sickness, right? Because I want to bring some context into what we're talking about, right? In terms of sexual norms, are we talking about the actual act of sex or intercourse? Are we talking about how we see women, or how women see men, or how whoever, right? Whatever your preference is, right? What are we talking about?
Well, I mean,
all of it.
I would say we're talking about all of it, right?
Yeah,
Because I mean, even with what you just said, when you were talking about, just from a standpoint of sex in general, are we talking premarital sex? Are we talking adolescent sex? Are we talking what we thought was sex? Which that right in itself is toxic. I was having a conversation with Colin the other day that I completely empathize with, but he was talking about like daycare and how we used to hump.
But
not each other, pause. But in daycare, how we used to hump young ladies. You know what I mean? And for me, I thought having sex was rubbing your stomachs together when I was very young. But the fact that but listen though, this is the sickness part. Why did I think about that? And why was my mind on that to be trying to do that at that time?
We were over sexualized. The people, listen, I knew we was going to have a conversation. So I went and got some data just to think about how we process things, how things were for us versus how they are now, right? Because I feel like our kids are totally different anyway. So one thing I want to hit on is teen pregnancy, right? So in the early 2000s, teen pregnancy in the early 2000s, when we were in high school, between the ages, now this is black teenagers between the age of 15 and 19, out of 1,000 women, approximately 134 or 134.1 got pregnant between that age. In comparison to now, same age group, 15 to 19, black teenagers in the US, 27.6 out of 1,000. So it's largely declined. Now, I also wanted to see that in comparison to like the generation above us. So in 1960, the number was 120 women out of 1,000. So it was actually higher during our adolescent time period.
Wow.
And now extremely low.
I wouldn't have thought. So it was almost like,
it was like 13%. So now being like 3.
I mean, I don't know what the data includes, like the access to Plan Bs and access to birth control and things like that might decline the pregnancy rate. That's why I'm trying to figure out, like, for me, I look at this like this, right? Because depending on where you come from, right? Depending on the traditions, depending on culture, like over sexualized to me could be it depends on where you are, right? Because if you go to South America, I don't know if any of y'all been to South America, right? Like sexuality is different than sexuality in America, right? Let alone in Europe, right? The amount of new beaches in South America versus the amount of new beaches in America, right? It's totally different. So how we you know, I take this whole conversation a little different, man. One, because I'm Nigerian, so even the context of looking at a naked body is very different than it is here, right? So I'm very careful in trying to say, you know what I'm saying, we've been over sexualized. Even the data you talking about, you should don't even reflect that, right?
Well,
Yeah, but I mean, there's data in the U.S., and I think you're right. Right, everything is relative, right? So when we're using this language, like I think you're posing that topic or that question or that statement because of the comparisons that you had. But you know what I'm saying? If we looking at it in American times, I'm just gonna say it straight up. Like, listen. Let me not compare it then, because that might help you if we don't compare. I'm just gonna say that for myself. As a kid, in comparison to what I know now as an adult, dog, we was set up for it. Like, even as a kid, bro, you got to remember, like when we was growing up in our generation. I don't know if you experienced this, but I experienced this. It was you were constantly like held to a standard of getting your first piece. It was like, you ain't hit none. We like 12. You ain't even got none yet. Like the whole conversation would be around, did you get your first piece yet? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I lied. I ain't gonna lie. I lied. From the age of 12 to 14, I was lying. Yeah. And you know what I'm saying?
You was lying at 12. Like, yeah, I hit it at 12.
And that's where I agree with you in terms of the over sexualized part across the board, because I think as a child, no one taught me, or I didn't see what true sexual intercourse is. You know what I'm saying? And not from a physical standpoint, but like as an adult, man, we all know what good sexual intercourse can do to you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, right? And I didn't. All I knew was I needed to get some cheeks before like my cohort of community, right? Like I averaged out or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
I got too old before I was out of the group.
Let me tell you what surprised me about that stat you just gave. It surprised me because naturally my thought, and maybe other people think this too, is like, you know, stuff gets worse with each generation in terms of that kind of stuff, right? It's more access. Like we had to, you know, I mean, you had to have a dial-up computer, go to the library to like try to see some porn and hope they had like a free preview, or stay and watch TV at night, HBO after the white noise on the TV, and try to like see a boob or something. Like, so I was like, we had less access, right? But we was still wherever we were. Fast forward to now, like, yo, these kids could potentially, like, Pornhub could be on their phone, you know? So I'm like, they have way more access. I would naturally think they would be maybe more sexual than we were. But why it doesn't surprise me is because in conversations with my own, like, my son is 12 now. And when we have conversations about sex, which I force us to have, because I want him to hear it from me first and from his mother first. But he does not know half of what I knew at 12 years old. And I'm like, dang. And so I don't know, maybe it's one of those things where because we were so sexualized as a child, we like try to make sure we block that from our kids so they could just be kids.
Outside. It's because we was outside and we were always
playing hide and go freak.
All that, but we was around
all day, dog.
Outside with older kids, right? We was outside with kids who was having sex, right? When you was young. You know what I'm saying? These kids be in the house on video games, and that don't necessarily mean they ain't on Roblox, you know what I'm saying, or in spaces. But like, I watch the kids, even my own daughter, like these kids they kids.
Well,
our kids are kids, not all kids, but our kids are
kids. You have a very good point, Yusha, because my natural instinct came out as a male when I was a kid. It had nothing to do with what I knew or what I thought it was, right? But I know, like, I naturally got a hard on around girls that I felt like, you know what I'm saying, I was interested in. So to your point, being outside, right, and actually getting that emotion a couple of times, and then actually having somebody like the youngin touch me, you know what I'm saying, be honest with you, like it's like, oh shit, that shit feel good. We gonna do this after you gonna touch me every day after school. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, be honest
Nah,
with
I feel
you,
you.
there's actually a good point, man. The kids might be safer now because they in the crib versus when we were outside, son.
But you also got to realize, even if your body turned on, right? Because I relate to that. Even if your body turned on, the approach to it, the education around how to move with it was still different. You see what I'm saying? So like where a kid now may get turned on because he's close to a girl he likes, he may have a sacredness, a natural sacredness to it as well, right? It might be like, you know what I mean? I like her. Like I want to treat her well. I don't want to do that. Or I might be scared of sex, right? But as a kid, I'm not saying that I won't scared my first time because I definitely had some nervousness, but I was more scared of walking out of the house and saying that I didn't.
Yeah.
Because outside, niggas was like, they was ready to be like, nigga, did you crack or not?
Yeah. I ain't thinking about
it. Definitely was pressure.
I don't know, man. I'm being honest with you. Mine was more pleasure than it was anything else, right?
Yeah.
And you hit it on the nail, dog, because we were outside and because we were to me it's male and female energy, and I'm just talking from that perspective. It's sexual energy. You know what I'm saying? And like if you look at history, like kids, and what's the norm for you to start having this sexual energy? Historically, like what does that look like?
Listen, I got some data on that, right? Average age of people losing virginity.
You got all the data.
Look, black kids in the US, which is slightly what does it say? It actually says the average age of first sexual intercourse for black men in the US tends to be slightly lower than the national average, typically around 16 to 17 years old. All right. This is consistent with general trends. So the average age for black men is 16 to 17 years old. I was 14.
It's too young, Yusha.
I was in 9th grade.
She's like a dad.
Disappointed in you.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I was late in my community.
Hey,
really?
That was so. Don't look shocked, Connor.
I was lying at 12, dog, because the niggas around me was now either they was lying or they was already getting it in. I felt like,
yeah, dog. I ain't gonna put the homies out there, but dog.
Dog, I remember. I liked this girl when we was 12 years old. We was all in 6th grade. I liked this girl. She used to live in this trailer park, probably like 3 miles from where I lived at. And Shorty was already built, body was already built. She was a short little joint, but was already like thickly in 6th grade. And of course, I'm sexual already because I've been humping since I was 7. I got stories about humping, right? So I've been humping since I was 7. And I didn't hit my first little Billy Blank off a hump. You know what I'm saying? Thought I was like, damn, did I just pee on myself? You know what So I'm already knowing what the oxytocin levels feel like once you hit the mark. You know what I mean? So Shorty thick, but then I found out this little 6th grade girl was having sex with like a senior in high school. She 12.
Hey, I cracked up when you said
and you thought you peed. About it at the pool.
Hold on. When you said you thought you peed on yourself, that was one of the questions my son asked me. He was like, "Hey, so when you bust." He was like, "Does it feel like you pee?" I was like, a little bit.
I was scared. I was nervous. I was like, "Did I pee on myself?"
Nah, I ain't judging. I was 15. I was in 10th grade. So I was a year.
It definitely sounded like it was traumatic in a sense, right? Having this pressure, right? Maybe not traumatic, right? I don't know what words we want to use, or right, but having a pressure to have sex before you're ready. Or feeling like there's a benchmark you have to reach, or feeling like you were overexposed. For me, one of the things I was overexposed to might have been pornography, right?
Yep.
And at a single digit age number, right? And so taking those things into the fact, do you all feel like those things affected you all, as a young adult, right? Starting at average 16 to like maybe 25 age, right? Where like you saw all of those things, you felt the pressure, and then maybe you actually did it. And then what was what happened afterwards? Yeah. Like, what was you feeling?
I'm gonna say yes.
What happened after our first experience?
Yeah, basically. So let's put it out. The first question is, you lost your virginity when, Yushin?
14.
Colin, when you lose yours?
15.
All right, I lost mine at 15, and Sean probably lost his at 2. So,
God damn.
but nah, real talk. So it happened, and our teenager is basically on average. What you should like? What happened, dog? Did you go up? Did you go down? Like, was you feeling like
it was up after that? It was up because here's the thing. Like, I'm gonna tell you what happened. Shorty that I messed with was actually a shorty that she lived in my neighborhood. We've been knowing it. We went to elementary school together, all that, and our context starts in elementary school because I'm not from that neighborhood. I moved there when I was 9, so I moved there in 4th grade. All throughout elementary school, I picked on shorty, called her all types of names because that's what kids do. But then when we got to middle school, Joanne got real. She filled out real nice. And y'all know me, man. Like, I hate to say, you know what I'm saying? I got her tight. I just got her tight.
Yeah.
And she fit the tight. You know what I'm saying? And my favorite movie was The Wood. I'm telling y'all some stupid shit now. My favorite movie was The Wood. And the part in the movie where Big Mike and Alicia finally get a chance to get at it. You know what I'm saying? That was my movie was on repeat. And I'm like, man, I got to make that happen. So, you know what I'm saying? We made it happen. And I'm gonna tell the story because I ain't got no cut cards for you. The first time I hit the jar with suicide, I probably lasted all of 17 seconds. But was like, the condom broke. The condom broke. So I
gotta stop.
I stopped. And then I didn't have another condom. So I was mad because I couldn't go back in. You know what I'm saying? And so I left the house. Went up the street, knocked on my boy's door, got another condom, came back, and started going in it again. You know what I'm saying? And then the condom broke for real. That condom actually broke. And then when that broke, I was like, fuck it, and just kept going. So second round, I smashed off shorty for like an hour and some change. And the only reason I really stopped is because my brother called and said he was on his way home. He's about to pull up. Now his home, he ain't live there. He's about to pull up. So when I get to school the next day, you know what I'm saying? I guess, you know, shorty talked. She told, you know what I'm saying? She told. And the second round, it went down. So after that, it was like girls at the school was just on some like, yeah, we heard, nigga, and
heard about you.
What's up?
God dang.
Hey, Sean, you came in right at the perfect time. Right at the
you said you lost your virginity at 2. I just want to validate.
Who was saying that?
I said you lost your virginity at 2. Nah, real talk. Tell the people like we all said our number. When did you lose your virginity, Sean?
Summer going into the 9th grade. So what would that be, like 14?
13 or 14.
13 or 14.
Nah, it's like 14, 15. I would say. Man, I'd say 14.
Yeah.
That's interesting, young.
Why?
Y'all are lying.
Well, nah, I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish. You know, it's essentially because we all are in the same age.
Yeah, all 14,
age, but I know we got different journeys. So
average age though is also 2 to 3 years lower than the average age of Black men now. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So now it's 16, 17, right?
17.
Wow.
We looking at
I would not have guessed that. Well, no, it kind of makes sense now that I think about it.
These kids different.
Yeah.
When I lost mine, it was this logical. It was a girl. She ended up being my girlfriend for that reason. Like she was just cool, and I was just trying to like, let me see if I could smash. I didn't tell her that I was a virgin until like after the 3rd time. Like, but I had a girlfriend. My girlfriend was actually at Sean's school. I was at another high school.
Well, I thought you about to say your girlfriend is actually one of Sean's 10. I was about to say
probably.
You don't want to.
We never had that. Hey, we should talk about that. We never had that conversation. But this what happened. The girl at my school kicking it at her crib. You know, we fooling around second base, whatever. And she was like, "Nah, you got a girlfriend." And I'm like, "So?" And she was like, "Nah, I don't do that. Like, you gotta be," which was a lie. She was never mind. But she was like, "Nah, you gotta be with me. Like, you gotta be my boyfriend if you want to hit it." And I was just like, all right. So the next day, this girl that I've been telling, love you so much, we're gonna be together forever, we're gonna get married one day. I was just like, hey, so I've been thinking we need to take a break. Like,
Shit.
I did. Like, I'm a nice guy, man. I'm a
All
nice
for the
guy.
cheeks.
So you took her virginity and then broke up with her?
No, I broke up with my girl
To then get with somebody to lose his virginity.
because the chick was like, you can't smash because you got a girlfriend. You got to be my dude for that.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and so I was like, I bet. And I felt a little bit bad, but not that bad.
Sean, what was your experience?
My experience, I mean, all our experiences is going to be different. I don't even know why you already laughing because ain't nothing funny, but all of our experiences are going to be different, right? But I grew up like y'all know, our generation, we actually had a size of clothing called husky.
Right.
And so I grew up in in that time frame, I was husky. I was like always the kid that was in the in crowd, but like always somebody's brother. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's my and I'm like, nah, I'm trying. Like, boy, what's up? All my friends, they the cool ones. They got girls on their arms and multiple, so on and so forth. So, I would say, to put a word on it, I was somewhat envious, just feeling left out. However, the summer going into 9th grade, there were, the known females from middle school. Everybody has that set of girls that are known. There were 2 girls, and two of my friends actually talked them into riding the bus to our neighborhood. Right. So they rode to the bus to our neighborhood that summer. We were walking around the neighborhood, so on and so forth, waiting for parents to go to work so that we could have a free house. Huh?
That was outside, hot and sweaty.
I mean, yeah, we in middle school. That everybody was, especially in the summertime, and especially in Maryland. Musty, real humid. But so, waiting for a clear moment, we ended up being able to go back to one of the friends' houses. And the sad part is, till this day, I don't remember her name, the girl that I lost my virginity to, which is always like the downside to my story of how I lost my virginity, because I was just like so geeked to be able to say that I was with somebody. I missed a lot of very important steps to get to that point.
Ali, I definitely want to hear your story, but it's like as I listen to my story, Colin's story, Sean's story, it's a lot of stuff that we could pull out of what's happening.
Unintended.
That's connected to we can pull out.
Hey, but
pause.
But here's what we're going to do for Sean, though, because what we all needed, man, is really growing. Our community is strong. A lot of people are watching this. And if you're out there, young lady, that Sean, and you recognize Sean is the guy that took my virginity,
please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Call 301-555-555.
No, but we're going to get your name, and we're going to add you to Sean's origin story.
No, we don't.
This is another aspect of that, though, right? This is another aspect of that. She took my virginity. I didn't take her virginity because I was actually second that day. You see what I mean? Like, these were the known girls from our school, right? It was 3 guys, 3 girls. 2 girls were the girls that traveled to come visit their friend that lived in our neighborhood. So yeah, I just leave it at that. But it it's a lot of different aspects that we could speak to. Like, a lot of stuff.
Marriage was an orgy, bro?
No, brother. I said I was the second that day.
Right.
That does not allude. That does not. That is so that means that she was involved with somebody earlier that day.
I know, and then I doubled girls and 3 guys. So I thought,
Sean, I see what happened.
It was 3 girls. It was 3 girls and 3 guys. It was 3 girls and 3 guys.
Hey, Sean, I see what happened. Your real father, he never paid attention. He can't even add. He wasn't there for you. You failed. You failed, Yusha.
Nah, that's because Yusha from the country, man. You know, they whole sexual experiences is different. They be walking around barefoot, pregnant, eating watermelon on the porch.
I'm gonna be real with you. The last thing I would have did when I was 14 years old was hit some cheeks that was walking around outside. Hygiene was always been a thing for me. I can't call it.
Oh yeah, because at 14, you was just upper echelon. Like, yeah, I get it, brother.
I listen. I had a big brother. I had big brothers who set the tone for how I was supposed to dress and take care of myself. And so I ain't play them type games. I make a joint, take a shower in my crib. Like, nah, go take a shower.
What was your situation, Ali? You was loving the jump?
Real quick, mine wasn't as exciting as y'all. Mine was with my mine was with my girlfriend, my high school sweetheart, and she was a virgin too. And I actually want to get into this because a lot of y'all ain't really disclosed which y'all first, who they was it their first, right? For me, it was both our first. Right. And it was the summertime and we hit the Six Flags movement. And, you know, after Six Flags, it just went down. And I'm be honest with you, man, I'm really proud of how I lost my virginity and who I lost it to be quite honest. So I really want to say that because to Yusha's point, I took pride even after that. And I guess you could call it what it is. And people saying they had an opportunity to be with me. And that's been since I've been, it happened off and on, to be honest with you. Like, you know, we're talking about the effects of after losing my virginity. After that, obviously having a girlfriend at that young age, it was all day, every day. It was when your people were not there. It was like, it was crazy. Right. But fast forward into like a space where maybe in college, right, I really had this energy about like not wanting to be open to everybody. I don't know where it came from, to be honest with you. You know, I really never really dived into that. But it's just what it was. But I actually want to know from y'all, because it's actually my next question about, do y'all think men or women are more over-sexualized or hypersexualized than each other, right? So I said I lost my virginity to someone who also lost their virginity. What about y'all?
Well, I think me and you, what I'm hearing, I think me and you might be a little more aligned, and Sean and Yusha might be a little bit more aligned.
Hell no, you broke up with your girlfriend to get with somebody else. Nigga, don't allow me with that.
Let me clarify.
Hey, baby, this not gonna work.
I ain't coming back no more.
Let me clarify though. Let me clarify why I say that, and because what I'm curious is what was the difference and how we ended up in that space, because that ended up being your girl. That was the same for me. Like, I had a girlfriend. We talked about we were going to give our virginity to each other. So it would have been like what you did, but it was taking too long, and this one was ready to go. So I broke up with her. But then when she did not lose her virginity. She was very promiscuous at that time in my life. And I found out a lot more of that later on, but I lost my virginity. But then that was my girlfriend at that point, and locked in, like, kind of everything you just said up until, so this was 10th grade. So probably all of 10th grade, and then most of 11th grade. And then what happened in 11th grade was I started finding out she was living life a little free. Well, no, let me not say that. It's probably my fault. Let me take ownership. So I cheated. I cheated, but I wasn't out. I have, no judgment, but I wasn't like out here like that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't have no squad or whatever. Like I cheated one time, felt bad, told her about it. And then after that, she was just like, oh, forget love. And she just went like wild. Right. So we was still cool, but that was not my girl no more. And then I kind of went wild. So like I really didn't like start really playing the field until my senior year of high school and then going into college. And at that point, I was just like, I don't even want to be in a relationship. I'm too young. I need to just be out here and enjoy life and have fun. My next girlfriend after that is my wife today. Like I never had a serious relationship no more from high school until Michelle.
Yeah.
Wow.
But to address what you said though, that's not really uncommon. It's typically you get your heart broken and then you start to go wild. Like that.
Yeah.
That's typical for a lot of people.
Yeah, respect. I had a moment.
Yeah, I mean, and to what you were saying, Ali.
Let's talk about that.
One, I do know that you are a lover at heart.
Absolutely.
Right. But with what you said earlier gave me the perception that you were very choosy with your partners. So at what point did you decide within you being so selective to then establish an unofficial Greek letter organization that was the sole mission was to be promiscuous? How did you get to that point?
You gotta give context.
Hey, hold on. Yeah, nah, I don't have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
Oh, you don't, do you? Oh, okay.
I don't have no clue what you're talking about.
Nah, that one in the Ames.
Okay, well, rock on, brother.
I joined the same fraternity. It was about the community for me.
Listen.
Nah, you ain't joined this fraternity.
He talking about something else. That's why I said you got to give people context.
This is a fraternity that I knew about even before I knew about the Divine Nine. So,
this is something else.
But that's funny, Sean, because and a lot of people in the group that you're talking about, right, would tell you this, and I think all of y'all know this, right? I've that's been my posture from day one. I remember in middle school being on the school bus and I felt insulted at the time, right? But this girl, she said to me, she was like, "You think you think you better than everybody? You think your wife gonna be like a model and whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop?" And I looked at her like, how's she trying to read me, right? Years later, I looked at that and like, yeah, dog, I have standards, bro. I have standards. I've always had standards for myself. And I just think that that's been something natural for me. So I can't really speak to, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was overexposed to sex, right? I'm just saying that. I saw porn in my single digit age. I caught my dad's stash, you know what I'm saying, at a very young age. And like, I still watch porn, right? Sometimes I watch it with my wife. I'm be honest with you, right? Like, and it's just raising hand, you know what I mean? So I don't know how that affected me being promiscuous or not having no standards, you know what I'm saying? But to your point about being in a group of other, men who was, living up to the expectation of the group,
in the same virtues, huh?
Living up to the expectation of the group. I think I think at some point men use it as a sporting event. You know what I mean? And so, and that's just what it is. We produce millions of sperm, daily. You dig what I'm saying? So like at some point, I think you was saying it like as a kid, or even you, Sean, like I was knocking out 10. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it has nothing. And even today, I think it's just charged to how we're made up. You know what I mean? Like
also a double standard, bro. It's a big double standard, and we know that as kids, because one of your first questions when you first asked was like, "Was the girl a virgin?" And no, right? I want to say the girl I was messing with, she took I gave my virginity to her, right? But it was a double standard because how she was moving was no different than how I was moving, you know what I'm saying, in terms of after I had sex the first time, but she's going to be held accountable to a different standard. What I will say, though, is like a lot of how I even approached sex at that time was connected to the desire to have sex. Other than the physiological desire to have sex, a lot of the desire to have sex was based off what I had seen and heard from the other men in my family and in my community, right? I have a real experience that I'm not going to detail, but it shaped the mindset of how I was supposed to approach women in terms of like how I was supposed to just have women, right? Because of who my people was. But the other side of that was like porn. You know what I'm saying? There was no education on how to approach sex. So porn taught me how to approach sex, right? It was like, and in my mind, a girl wasn't good at having sex if she didn't act like, move like, respond like the women on porn move. You know what I'm saying? It was like, You know what I'm saying? I need every single girl. I need your leg. I need your knees at your forehead.
What was
Man.
your first experience with porn usage? Was it like, were you introduced through VHS, through CD, or through the internet?
Nah, it was VHS.
Oh, VHS.
This old white joint was the first joint. This old white joint that was like an hour and a half long. All the joints had bushes all over it. I had to get rid of that as soon as I could, though. I had to get rid of that one. That was, and I don't even remember where I got it from, but that was the first one. But when I got a hold of like a videotape of like the A Street Latinos, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all remember that joint or the
Girls Gone Wild,
Hootie Round joints with you know, Cherokee and all that joint, because that was their era.
Doing too much advertising at this point.
I was about to say, you promoting, bro. You promoting. You might as well add them and shit.
Boy, I just saw a glimmer in your eye. You just flashed back.
Well, I'm happy, you know what I'm saying? I'm connected to people who grew up in our era because they gonna know, you know what I'm saying? They gonna know. But like that, and I'll be honest, bro, like with the story of porn, were we masturbate? Hell yeah, I was masturbating, right? But I'm gonna be honest, dog. When I have a son, God willing, I'm gonna tell that nigga like, do everything you can to like stay away from that, because I know the effects of it, right? From desensitization to just how much time you know, just stay away from it.
I had that exact talk with mine, and because like I said, we've been having these talks, and I be doing temperature checks because I'm like, all right, where is he right now? Because I don't know what advice to give and what not. And so I asked him about porn, and he was like, I was like, you know what that is? He was like, yeah, the website. It's like, so they talk about, somebody at school talking about Pornhub, but he's never seen it, and that's exactly what I told him. I was like, yeah, like, you want to avoid that at all costs. And I was like, it's addictive. I was like, it's going to cause this issue, that issue. Like, I'm telling him all like the negative sides of it. And then I was like, but if you do just so happen to see it, I was like, come talk to me about it. You know what I'm saying? We could talk about, because it might, I don't know. He's so green, man. I think it's going to like traumatize him. But to your point, you said that your experience with porn caused you to like have certain expectations of the women you were with. For me, I feel like it put probably unrealistic expectations on myself, right? Because porn did not like affect how I dealt with women, I don't think, but it affected like my expectations for myself during sex. So here I am, 15, 16, 17 years old, even in, you know, college days, and I felt like I should be able to go for hours at a time, not thinking about, man, they are editing these videos, man. This is like 5, 6, 10 takes to get, you know, this 25-minute stroke session. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, yo, I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. I should be able to go 5 rounds on average. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I had all of this pressure I was putting on myself, not thinking about like, that is not normal everyday sex. You know, just being in that immature space and trying to be grown, trying to live up to what you're saying. Yeah.
Nah,
I got some data points on how porn affects people. You know, I had to get the data on this, man, so we can help people.
This dude got all the data today.
But we can talk about relate, right? So personal effects, right? Personal effects of watching porn is, of course, desensitization of sexual stimuli, unrealistic expectations about sex, and potential difficulties in achieving sexual arousal without pornography. I've actually experienced that, right? Effects on relationships, right? Watching porn can affect relationships by potentially reducing intimacy and satisfaction, creating unrealistic expectations, and sometimes leading to issues like reduced sexual desire for your partner. And a really big side effect of porn, right, is body dysmorphia for men and women.
I need a definition for that.
Body dysmorphia is it's a mental health condition where a person becomes excessively concerned or preoccupied with perceived flaws or defects in their physical appearance. These flaws are often minor or even unnoticeable to others, but to the person with body dysmorphia disorder or BDD, they appear significant and distressing. All right. And some of the things that you may see people doing if they have body disorder, some of the symptoms of it is that they often compare their appearance to others. They seek frequent cosmetic procedures without satisfaction. They avoid mirrors, or conversely, they frequently check their reflection in the mirror. They feel anxious, ashamed, or depressed about their appearance, or they experience social isolation or difficulties at work due to appearance concerns.
Oh yeah. That's why I was 15, 14 with the ruler out trying to see where I was at. Did I grow? Did I get there? Marking the ruler like, all right.
Hey, bro, you was marking the ruler, checking your
Like,
progress, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
You got dates and ages next to the mark.
My shoe size went up, so let me check. Let me reassess.
Hey, Slim.
Nah, that's real. That's real.
Shit.
Yeah, that Jonah have you comparing yourself to them people, huh?
I mean, I'll speak on reality too. Like, I've been in adult relationships where if I was watching too much porn, right, I had to get to a point where I had to completely cut it out as best as I could. But like, if I was watching too much porn and, you know what I'm saying, satisfying myself, especially with all that was going on with an adult, it was like by the time if a woman came over, or if, you know what I'm saying, I got connected to a woman, I wouldn't even be like, you want to play cards? Because
I think it's interesting, man, because I think y'all heard me say that I sometimes look at it with me and my wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's different porn. And I'm just educating people. I don't know what we're talking about here, right? Right. I'm just being honest with you. So there's some uncut, raw, just straight up big booty, brown and ground, porn. And then there's some soft porn, right? Women read a lot of soft porn books. I don't know if y'all are aware of that, right? The back in the day Zanes and all that other stuff, right? So I just want to make sure that whoever is listening to this, right, that there's different levels, there's different exposure. And for me and my wife, right, in terms of, because I told y'all that I didn't have a lot of sexual partners, right? Yeah. So in terms of continuing to grow your sexual journey with your wife, sometimes it takes being educated by some of these soft porn situations, be honest with you, right? Or it takes some reading, or it takes some exploring. But I just think, with anything, there's a certain discipline and obedience to the appetite that you have to have.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I think it just depends on the person. So
I'm sure all of y'all are some variation, some improved variation of yourself, right? So like if we talking to the young boys, we some of us are OGs and unks now, you know what I'm saying, to some extent. What I really want to know is, you know what I'm saying, over top is like, how have you changed? How's your approach to sex changed? You know what I'm saying? Y'all are married. Yeah. Let's get into that. First of all y'all married? I've been married before, but you know what I'm saying, my divorce was 2015, right? Are you having as much sex as you thought you were going to have once you got married?
I'm going to go as the elder statesman here. I'm going to just tell y'all youngins out there straight up. Just because you married don't mean you get cheeks on auto. It don't happen that way. And it is the adverse, my ninjas out there. Like, just know that straight up, right? I've been married going on, God, I'm married since
15 plus.
15 years, been with my wife for 20 years, right? And the most sexual activity we've ever had was when we was in college, right? Yeah. But in terms of the level of passion and where we've taken our sexual journey, and we're at the tippy top. You know what I'm saying? And so I just to your point, you should, like, I'm married, been married that long, and it don't come out like that. You got your kids. I got 2 kids. I got 3 businesses. You know what I'm saying? And some nights, just quite frankly, the young Ali don't feel like he want to get busy. You know what I'm saying? I got work and I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? So that's just, I ain't gonna wrap it up all, you know what I mean? But that's just me. You know what I'm saying?
What's average though?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I've had dry spells, to be honest with you, because like it's been cyclical, nigga. Like, let's be like, wait, son. One time it was like a month, young, and I'm like,
Ali was praying for rain.
Don't laugh. For you, at what point?
Rituals.
Nah, dog. Like, something you gotta understand, man. Shit happened, bro. Like, shit happened throughout life, where, like, it is what it is. But I think, to y'all point about sexual norms and and habits and all that other stuff, I had to learn not to put an emphasis solely on sex with my wife because it was causing some energy. You know, I'm waking up pissed, mad, going to work, like not saying shit, all of that. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to give y'all whoever think that marriage come with like this auto package, dog. Don't do that to yourself, man. Rearrange your thought process.
Yeah, what you said, but you also said in terms of like the passion and stuff, y'all probably at like the height of where y'all been. What would you attribute that to?
Knowing each other in a deeper way. I think also, when you get older, I don't know. For me, it's just finding new ways. You know what I'm saying? Over time, because you got to, right? And finding those new ways allows you to find new peaks and valleys. So I'm gonna just say that.
So what I just heard was intimacy, connection, and freedom of exploration with your partner.
Oh yeah.
It all trump the frequency.
And the pandemic helped.
That quality time. Hey, for some people that helped, for some people that did not help.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, people up because they had to sit in the house and really be connected. I remember, like, you know what I'm saying, during my marriage, there were parts where like I was getting it like once a month, you know what I'm saying? And I was 24, 25 at the time. I'm a raging fucking bull, you know what I'm saying? I'm at the point where like my meter is high. Like I can't even be at work. Look, I'm a teacher at the time and a faithful man, but I would be at work full. And there used to be a couple Jones, a couple other teachers in the school, bro. I had to stay, like, literally disciplined as I had to stay away from them because as soon as they come around, my joint be like,
like, so
struggling.
So similar to like Ali's saying, I think everybody would say that in terms of marriage, like it ebbs and flows, man. Like it's gonna be seasons where you're gonna be like, oh man, it's like every multiple times a week and this and that. And it's gonna be them seasons where it's like 1 or 2 times a month just because of life, depending on the age of the kids, activities, businesses, like it ebbs and flows. What I will say, and you hit on a good point when you said, like, I had to stop focusing on sex. I think in them early days, I was focused on it a lot because it was an expectation I had.
Right.
Like, yeah, we married now, da-da-da-da. Look, God is smiling on this now, right? It's not bad. So I feel like it should just be all the time, anytime. And then that wasn't a reality. And I got to a point where it did cause some internal, like, man, what we doing? Why does it have to be a competition or like why I got to figure out the piece of the puzzle and all this? Like, it should just be like, go time, bet, let's get it. In them younger days. And I think it wasn't until I matured and focused on preheating the oven consistently and not for nothing in return, just because, right? Then things start to improve. But I will say right now, where we are today in the ebbs and flows, we're probably the most, like, this probably like maybe the wildest consistent season we've been in. And I would, in terms of frequency and passion, and I would attribute that to probably like just kind of growing up. Kids are older now, a lot more independent, you know what I mean? So that gives us a little bit more consistent privacy when we need as parents. And then both of us have evolved in the past couple of years to where like we're redefining a lot of things for who we are, how we do marriage, how we show up for one another. And somewhere in that evolution process, I don't know, we both just got, the young bull came back out in both of us, man. It's been a fun time, I'll say that.
I mean, and then on some real stuff to what happens to, and I'm just thinking about the question as what happens is to those traumas, to those fears that you might have had or insecurities you might have had, right? They no longer exist.
Yep.
Right. And because those traumas and those fears and insecurities don't exist in the world, it's all go.
Yeah.
Right. And I also want to say this too, man. Like I have a marriage where if I warm the coffee pot up, it's all go. Right. But I had to learn not to abuse that. So
yeah, I want to get to that. Sean, did you want to speak on frequency, or you know what I'm saying? Everybody kind of.
I wanted to speak to what Ali just said about the traumas. And this is like just a message to those who may not be married, have never been married, thinking about getting married, so on and so forth, it's important to understand that you have to have more than just sex, right? There have to be other connective fibers that hold your relationship together. One that I place in high value is just genuinely liking that person and liking to be around that person, right? Like seeing that person as a friend. Now, as far as the trauma part that I wanted to speak to, it could very well be that the traumas that you experience, so on and so forth, prior to your marriage, then are quote unquote washed away through your marriage. However, the reality of it is that you could experience traumas within your relationship as well. And so that can affect the sexual intimacy within the marriage. Like, my wife and I, we've had some pretty tragic occurrences within our relationship that where we are now sexually, we're kind of just getting over those hurdles, like from, miscarriages to medical issues. Like, my wife had a back issue, to continually having babies. I mean, that's a trauma. You know what I mean? Especially depending on where you are in life and what your desires are as far as excelling in life. The reality of it is when you have a kid or you have multiple kids, every single time you have a child, your resources are then redistributed to then take care of the additional responsibility. So all of those, that just speaks to the ebbs and flows that everybody's been saying. Like, you're going to have seasons. You just got to work through it, be intentional.
Yeah. I love the conversation that we're having. I think it's super dope. And I think we're transitioning into like even some more, some grown up conversations, right? Some things that I definitely want to see us get to is like more conversations on that intimacy, that approach, right? How do you warm up the coffee pot? Get a little bit more into the traumas and how you can heal your traumas in a relationship. But we're going to transition now to working and winning. For those who are watching, if you would love to hear the extended version of these conversations, if you love to hear the other things we're about to get to, we're going to move that conversation to our Patreon. Please subscribe to our Patreon. This is a way in which we can keep the What We All Needed podcast community growing. And so we would love to have you all join that community and be a part of helping us produce high quality content that is good for us, right? Community for what we all needed. Colin, did you want to get in on that?
Yeah, because we definitely gonna continue this conversation because I'm gonna bring up soul ties. That's just something I thought about. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And again, like if you want to hear the rest of it, tap in, join our Patreon. But I do want to shout out and thank everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube page. What We All Need a YouTube page. We appreciate you all subscribing and liking. Y'all been dropping comments and the feedback has been great. We really value your feedback. And so that we know that we're producing content that's valuable. If it's not valuable, that's not what we want to do. So we appreciate all of that. So please continue to do that. This episode will be on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Extended will be on Patreon. And let's get it. Working and winning.
And shout out to our Patreon subscribers. Those who have already subscribed to Patreon. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Whether you know it or not, your investment in us is going to help us produce this at a higher quality. So